The Cathedral of Santa Croce, a beautiful example of late Gothic architecture, attracts visitors and followers from around the world every day. The tall ceilings with beautiful stained glass windows made the space feel calm and peaceful. It was a place where people came to pray, find comfort, or enjoy the beauty of the holy. That day, the cathedral was busy with guests as usual. Some people walked quietly with paper guides, while others stopped to take pictures of the hallways and altars. In the crowd, a man with a video camera looked very interested in what was happening around him. He was a tourist, like many others, but with a keen eye for detail. He made videos for his channel, sharing bits of his travels with his fans. Suddenly, as the camera moved along a side lane, something grabbed his attention. The odd scene showed an elderly priest, dressed neatly in a dark robe, standing next to a confessional. A nun was kneeling in front of him. The priest had one hand on the nun's head, which looked very inappropriate from that viewpoint. The man with the camera paused only briefly before hitting record. He wasn't certain what was happening, but the scene, viewed through the lens, had a clear implication. Around him, some tourists noticed the same situation and started whispering among themselves. A few took pictures, while others stared in disbelief, unsure of what to think. The tourist kept filming, slightly adjusting the camera's angle. From every viewpoint, the image seemed to prove the worst. The priest's hand on the nun's head, his serious and focused expression, the woman's posture, everything added to a tableau that no one would ever want to witness in a holy place. Within hours, the video surfaced on social media. Posted with an intentionally provocative title, "Caught in the Confessional, Priest and Nun in a Scandalous Scene," it quickly garnered attention. Comments multiplied at an astonishing rate, and the discussion became fiery. Accusations and complaints poured in from all over the world. "This is what happens behind the church's walls," wrote one user. "Shame," cried another. Among the flood of comments, some tried to defend the individuals in the video, saying it might be a misunderstanding. "Let's not judge without knowing," someone wrote. "We don't know the background," but these opinions were quickly drowned out by the wave of outrage. Meanwhile, in the cathedral, none of the people involved seemed aware of the storm that was about to break. The priest, Father Vittorio, a 70-year-old man with a long career of service to the church, went about his day as normal. The nun, Sister Angela, a gentle and reserved woman, carried out her tasks with her usual dedication. Neither could have guessed that a fragment of their encounter was about to upend not only their lives, but also public opinion. The video soon reached the ecclesiastical officials. The bishop of the diocese, Monsignor De Luca, got a call from an alarmed aide. "Your Excellency, there's a video spreading," the man said in a tense voice. "It shows Father Vittorio and Sister Angela in a situation that could be misinterpreted. It's going viral." Monsignor De Luca took a moment to process the news before asking, "How bad is it?" The answer was hesitant but clear. "Very bad, Your Excellency. We need to act quickly." The news of the video finally reached the individuals directly involved. Father Vittorio was called to the bishop's office, while Sister Angela was informed by a fellow nun. Both were stunned upon hearing what was happening. "I don't understand," said Father Vittorio. "Nothing inappropriate happened." Sister Angela, on the other hand, simply shook her head in disbelief. "I was just picking up a rosary," she whispered. But their answers seemed to carry little weight against the storm that was brewing. That night, online comments became even more nasty. Some journalists started digging into Father Vittorio's and Sister Angela's pasts, searching for any detail that could support the implicit charges in the video. The atmosphere got increasingly tense, with every new share of the footage adding fuel to the fire. However, amidst the virtual crowd, some started to raise questions. "Isn't it strange that there's a movie of that exact moment?" asked one user. "It seems too perfect to be coincidental." Others agreed, but they were still a minority compared to those crying scandal. The video, brief as it was, seemed to contain all the elements of a sensational story: a sacred place, two religious people, and a picture that, taken out of context, was devastating. But the truth was far different, and it would soon appear, bringing with it a lesson no one would forget. The following morning, the Cathedral of Santa Croce awoke under the sun. Journalists, cameras, and interested onlookers gathered in front of its grand doors, turning the sacred site into a media circus. Ecclesiastical officials hurried to close the cathedral to the public, fearing further scandals. Inside, the silence was heavier than normal. Father Vittorio walked slowly along the center nave, head bowed and rosary clutched tightly in his right hand. Each step seemed accompanied by an echo that magnified his pain. He had not yet seen the video, but the descriptions he had been given were enough to indicate the gravity of the situation. Sister Angela, meanwhile, was confined to her small room in the convent close to the cathedral. She too had not watched the footage, but the whispers among her fellow nuns were enough to make her feel as though a heavy shadow hung over her. "It's not possible," she kept saying to herself. "It can't be read that way." Yet doubt knotted her. What if people truly believed what the video suggested? Meanwhile, on social media and in newsrooms, the situation was worsening. The video had garnered millions of views, and every site was flooded with comments. Some were furious. "The church has always been a den of hypocrisy," wrote one person. Others, however, started to question the authenticity of the footage. "Why is the video so short? Doesn't it seem like something is missing?" wondered another reviewer. But these questions were quickly drowned out by the collective anger. Meanwhile, Bishop De Luca made a drastic choice. He summoned Father Vittorio and Sister Angela for a secret meeting. The chosen venue was a plain room in the back of the church, far from prying eyes. Father Vittorio arrived first, his face marked by age and the weight of the situation. A few minutes later, Sister Angela entered, her eyes lowered and her hands clasped in front of her. The bishop observed them both in quiet for a moment, then began to speak. "I want you to tell me exactly what happened," he said in a strong but non-accusatory tone. Father Vittorio spoke first. "I was standing next to the confessional, as I often do to welcome the faithful," he explained. "I saw Sister Angela kneeling to pick something up. I wasn't sure what she was doing, but then I noticed she was hitting her head against the confessional. I only tried to protect her." Sister Angela nodded. "It's true, Your Excellency. My rosary had fallen. I didn't know how close the confessional was. Father Vittorio was just trying to help me." The bishop listened carefully, his face emotionless. "I understand," he said finally, "but the pictures tell a very different story. That's the problem. It doesn't matter what exactly happened. What people see is what they believe." The tension deepened further when a new event came to light. One of the cathedral's technicians tasked with reviewing the internal security cameras found something unusual. "Your Excellency," he said to the bishop, entering his office with a tense face, "we have a problem. Someone messed with the cameras in the side aisle." The footage cuts off just before the alleged scandal starts and resumes only afterward. Someone wants part of the scene to be missing. This revelation put an even darker shadow over the affair. Who would have an interest in changing the video? And more importantly, why? The bishop decided to keep the discovery secret for the moment, fearing it might worsen the situation. But deep down, he knew this changed everything. The entire incident might be the result of a deliberate plot. Outside the cathedral, the chaos continued. Journalists hounded anyone connected to the local church, seeking statements or comments. A young tourist who had been present during the recording made an appearance on social media, sharing her version of events. "I don't know what they were doing," she said in a video, but the angle was strange. "It really did look like something wrong. I didn't see everything though, I just took a photo and left." This statement, rather than clarifying the situation, only fueled further doubts and speculation. Meanwhile, the community's faithful were split. Some openly sided with Father Vittorio and Sister Angela, recalling their lives dedicated to service and prayer. Others, however, began to hold doubts. "We can't ignore what we saw," they said. "The church must be open." A young sacristan, Lorenzo, who often worked behind the scenes, approached Sister Angela with an anxious look. "Sister," he whispered, "I think I know who might have done this." Sister Angela looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" Lorenzo lowered his eyes. "A few days ago, I saw a strange man walking around the side aisle with a small camera. He didn't look like a regular stranger. When he saw me, he quickly walked away. Maybe he has something to do with the video." This information sparked a glimmer of hope in Sister Angela. but also a new uneasiness. Who was this man? And what did he hope to achieve with the footage? Questions increased, and the mystery deepened. Meanwhile, public attention showed no signs of waning. The cathedral, meant to be a place of peace, had become the epicenter of a storm threatening to engulf everything. The following hours turned into a race against time. The new information from the young sacristan, combined with the tampered cameras, had added a vital piece to the puzzle. Yet for Father Vittorio and Sister Angela, the pressure was unbearable. Both found themselves praying more intensely than ever, and trusting their hope to the idea that the truth would emerge. Bishop De Luca, in the meantime, chose to take action. He hired an expert in video analysis and turned over all the material gathered so far, including the footage from the compromised cameras. "I want to know who did this," he said strongly. "And I want the truth to come to light, no matter the cost." The breakthrough came the following day. The technician handed his results to the bishop, and what he revealed left everyone speechless. The original video recorded by the tourist had been cut and manipulated to exclude key details. Specifically, the full sequence clearly showed Sister Angela kneeling to pick up a dropped rosary, and in doing so, inadvertently bumping her head against the confessional. Father Vittorio, noticing the situation, had put a hand on her forehead to protect her from hitting the wooden structure. The scene, in its entirety, was totally innocent, a gesture of pure care and attentiveness. But there was more. Upon analyzing the data from the file, the technician found that the video had been originally sent to an anonymous social media page from an IP address linked to a local individual. After further research, the responsible man's name was uncovered. It was a former parish member, expelled years ago for inappropriate behavior and harboring resentment toward the church. Armed with this new proof, the bishop called a press conference. The room was packed with press, photographers, and onlookers. The atmosphere was tense, but Monsignor De Luca, wearing a solemn expression, neared the stage. "Thank you for being here," he began in a firm voice. "Over the past few days, our church has been at the center of a scandal that has shaken not only our community, but also public opinion. Today, I am here to share the truth with you." The bishop clearly explained everything that had transpired, showing the full video and evidence of the manipulation. As the original footage was played, an unreal silence fell over the room. Every movement, every gesture of Father Vittorio and Sister Angela now appeared in a completely different light. There was nothing inappropriate, nothing scandalous, just an unfortunate moment caught from an angle that distorted its meaning. When the video ended, the bishop stated, "This incident reminds us of the importance of not judging based on appearances. Technology can be a powerful tool, but it can also be used to trick. Father Vittorio and Sister Angela have been victims of lies, and today we seek justice for them." The reactions were immediate. Journalists, taken aback by the news, began asking questions, but the bishop simply reiterated the truth. On social media, where the manipulated video had sown outrage, posts of apologies and reflections began to appear. "I'm sorry for judging," wrote one person. "This teaches us how easy it is to fall into the trap of looks." In the local community, the atmosphere changed quickly. Those who had doubted Father Vittorio and Sister Angela came forward to ask for forgiveness, while the faithful organized a vigil of unity in the cathedral. Father Vittorio, though clearly worn, accepted the apologies with his characteristic humility. Sister Angela, on the other hand, stayed in the background, choosing the solace of prayer. But the story didn't end there. The person guilty for the manipulation, identified by the authorities, was charged and interrogated. Ultimately, he admitted to acting out of revenge, hoping to discredit the parish and spark scandal. His actions, however, had the opposite effect. They reminded the world of the importance of seeking the truth and resisting the desire to judge hastily. The following Sunday, during Mass, Father Vittorio addressed a packed church. "These past days have been a trial for all of us," he said, his voice calm but determined. "And yet, even in trouble, we have found a lesson. The commandment, 'You shall not give false witness,' is not just a rule, but a guide for living with integrity. The truth, even when it seems weak, is stronger than any lie." His words were met with thunderous applause, but Father Vittorio raised a hand to ask for quiet. "And now," he concluded, Let us return to what truly counts: faith, compassion, and mutual understanding. From that day on, the Cathedral of Santa Croce was no longer remembered for the scandal, but for the lesson in humility and truth it had given. Father Vittorio and Sister Angela continued their work, more respected than ever, while the community learned to look beyond appearances and always seek the deeper meaning.
Subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification for more stories like this, and give this video a thumbs up. Click on this next interesting story.